Museveni was strategic. He planned this. It started way back in the days of Idi Amin. For example, you remember the murder and disappearance of the former Chief Justice of Uganda, Ben Kiwanuka. Some of you that research, I want you to go because all information is online. It's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, it's everywhere. I want you to go and follow the account of Hussein Lumumba Amin. And you will find out that it is very, very possible in 90% that Museveni and his fellow criminals of Fronasa in 1984 actually are claimed to have abducted Ben Kiwanuka. In the drones of those days, the car belonged to Museveni. You choose something. Museveni wrote about that car in his book, Sowing the Mustard Seed. And he said he was parked in Mbale, where the government forces of President Idi Amin attacked those terrorists. Amin survived. Museveni survived. His friends did not survive. He wrote about it, not knowing it will come back later. Now, Ben Kiwanuka was abducted up to today. Is not seen. In the same tactics that are happening today. That was intended to make all of us, especially the people in Buganda, to hate President Idi Amin. And it worked. It worked. We all grew up hating him until the truth started coming out. That did not stop there, ladies and gentlemen. In 2004, in Bushenyi, while they were burying Adonia Tiberondwa, a former UPC member, Kainda Otafire came out as if a ghost had come on his head, and he confessed that Museveni and his people would put on UPC uniform and go in the villages in Buganda and slaughter people. These are not my words. These words came from the mouth of Kainda Otafire. These people would dress like UPC. They would go kill people, child, mother, father, everything. And then later on, they would come and pretend to be fighting for our people. And that is how the hate in Uganda against Obote and his people started. That's what I'm telling you. We are victims of propaganda and lies. We were set up against each other, to hate each other, and it worked. Until the truth came out. So we grew up hating each other. When Museveni took over in 1986, they had collaborations with people. Our uncle, his name is Andrew Botakome Kaira. He was one of the rebels that spoke to Museveni and agreed to work together. But the hypocrite and liar that Museveni is, Kaira was kicked and shot dead in 1987. But that is not the story. Where is the story? When Kaira's forces joined Museveni, they were largely Baganda. But after the elimination of Kaira, those Baganda soldiers, they were under Museveni, and as a soldier, you just take orders. They were deployed in northern Uganda. This is a conversation that I had with one of the Acholi leaders. Because in our generation, we were trying to find out, how come Kabaka Mutesa and Daudi Ochieng were best of friends? How come Kabaka Mwanga and the old leaders of Acholi were friends? How come that we were so in love that even the most important place in Uganda, Kololo, is named in an Acholi language? How come we are not friends anymore? So this elder told me the story. He said after Museveni took over, the Baganda soldiers, those that belonged to Kaira, they didn't have a leader anymore. They were deployed here and ordered to massacre. And yes, those Baganda soldiers, under the orders of Museveni, carried out those massacres. Tell me why the Acholi and Lango and people of northern Uganda would not hate us. So yes, we were set up against each other by the same man. This went on, and it worked for Museveni until the truth came out. That is not enough. I want you, comrades, to go and research. You have your smartphones in your hands. I want you to go and research about a genocide that they call a brilliant genocide or a silent genocide that was carried out here in northern Uganda for so many years. Why? That was not only a revenge against former President Milton Obote. No, it was to disempower, to dehumanize, to break the people of northern Uganda. That is how we got here. It happened for a long, long time. I have watched many documentaries, and in that documentary, unfortunately, there are leaders like Honorable Norbert Mao who spoke very painfully for the people of Acholi against that man that used the military to dehumanize them, to destroy their livelihood, to destroy their education, to destroy their future. This was done in northern Uganda, just like everywhere, just like in Busoga, just like in Karamoja, etc., etc. It is so painful that when we were growing up, the people of northern Uganda had been the most educated. And today, the older generation in northern Uganda is more educated than the younger generation. Because it was a deliberate destruction of our people. Unfortunately, the culprit made sure that he transfers the accountability and the blame to somebody else. Our generation. That is how we got here, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to go back. Those that are my age, you would see some of us when I was still an artist. There are so many times when we came here with NGOs singing songs, and the Secretary General talked about it. I have a brother called Father Anton who sang, "Dear Museveni, we are happy to receive you here in Gulu. The situation is poor," and all that and all that and all that. But Museveni was looking at us and silently laughing at us. We were with so many people. I have a brother called Loketoli, who was my bodyguard and fellow artist. He sang a song, "Chan Pacholi we chane chitiko, Chan Pacholi we chane chitiko. Happy don't care, we don't mind. Happy don't mind, we don't care. Chan Pacholi we chane chitiko." You know that song? I produced that song. We tried to use music. We sang a song with all artists, including the Chameleons, the Bosmico teams, and others. And we came here and did a concert. That concert was called 3 Hours Away, so far and yet so near. Some of you that were not too young, you were following. All that in the love, but we had to find out what is the source of all that. Ladies and gentlemen, having done all that, some of you are still wondering why Museveni still wields power here. You will ask yourselves, how come then most senior leaders subscribe to NRM? Why most senior leaders here in Acholi, privately they will tell you, my brother, but we have no option. But when Museveni comes, they bow down. I'll tell you a very quick story. There was a Russian dictator called Joseph Stalin. One day Joseph Stalin was talking to his commanders, and he said, "You know what? Today I want to educate you on how to make people subdued and answer to you regardless." He got a live chicken. He started plucking off one feather by one. The chicken was in pain, crying, but he was plucking it, until the chicken lost all the feathers. It was there shaking in so much pain, blood oozing from some places. The chicken was there helpless. Then Stalin told them, "Watch me carefully." He got pieces of grain, started throwing to the chicken as he moves. And guess what? The chicken started painfully picking those grains and following Stalin. Picking the grains and following the Stalin. And he said, this is exactly how it works. Crush them, destroy them, dehumanize them, break them, and then they will bow down to you and make you a god. That is what Museveni has done. Not only to northern Uganda, he has done it to Buganda, he has done it to Busoga, he has done it to Karamoja, he has done it to everybody. That is how we ended up here. Slaves, but divided. Instead of hating the enemy, we hate each other. Instead of blaming the enemy, we are blaming each other. That is called the Stockholm Syndrome, where your oppressor will oppress you and force you to love them because you are convinced that you have no option. My brothers and sisters, that is the way they have been able to crush us. That the people in Uganda that used to sing system for Longoto are now going down to praise the same system. That is how it has happened when he kills your people. He kills your child, then tomorrow sends you 5 million and you go down. That is how Segirinya's mother, after killing her son, was able to kneel down to Museveni and praise him. That is how you see my brothers like Boss Mikotim, with whom we suffer so much, who knows the pain of the people of northern Uganda, but is bravely and willing to praise the oppressor. That is called breaking us. But the good news is that they cannot break all of us. The fact that you are here today means that the spirit of northern Uganda is not broken. It means that all our brains are not completely washed, ladies and gentlemen. We have been all humiliated. All of us driven off our lands. And the terrible thing, for us back in Uganda, they even exhume the remains of our forefathers because they want the land. Here is no different. You hear the stories of Apa. You hear the stories of everywhere else. And now it is blatant because they bring their own balalo and they place them on your land. And they say, now this land belongs to the balalo. Why? Because they look the way they look. And you look the way you look. Are you going to accept that nonsense? No. Just a few days ago, I was watching the directive of the minister who ordered the balalo off Acholi land and gave them 2 weeks. Did you see the tweet that Muhozi put out? Well, I want you to go and read the tweet that Muhozi put out. And it was in Runyankore. SG, please permit me to ask you to say that tweet in Runyankore and translate in English.
The tweet, I believe it's Harabari Sabatensiwanje. What does that mean? Fellow herdsmen, Bararo. Our northern Uganda, who are in northern Uganda, Ishitwe, our father, Umukuru w'ihanga, the head of state, arajire muturiche eruguru, ordered that we should leave the north. Okani njakwa izira kubehayo, I will come personally to remove you. Hatajiro muntu wena owabehayo takizi. Let nobody dare to remove you from there before I come. That is the tweet.
And he spoke it in the national language, the basement language. That is how you are looked at. And you're not alone. You're not the only humiliated people. I've told you the Basoga humiliated, the Baganda humiliated, the Karamajo, everywhere. Why am I raising this, my brothers and sisters? To show you how we got here. Just yesterday, or maybe the day before yesterday, Museveni, like he normally mentions it, courtesy of age, you could say, he came out and apologized to the people of Uganda and Uganda for oppressing them and doing all that. Because apparently his daughter, who is a pastor, was having a function. But while he's apologizing, our brothers are in basements being tortured. Our sisters are being raped. Our people are still being driven off their lands. We are not allowed to be human beings on our own land. While I stand here, I say to Museveni, apology not accepted. The best way, and probably the right way and only way to apologize for injustice, is to stop the injustice.